Hello and welcome to 5 at 5. I am Gargi Raut and joining me today for the show is Shomik Chakrabarti and Ashok Nambudiri. We are still outside of the Eden Gardens and it's been about 2.5 hours since we've lost the first match against South Africa, and there's a lot to talk about here. But
Not 2.5 hours, Gagi. It's about an hour and 20 minutes.
no, this is going live at
Oh,
5.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. They know very well that, this is a recorded show because we have other places to be as well. But Shomik, let's first start with the press conference. I think it was a very mature press conference. Gautam Gambhir coming out and taking accountability for the fact that it was the Indian management who asked for this wicket and that they went wrong.
He didn't say that they went wrong. Yes, he admitted that this was exactly the pitch Indian team wanted, and he praised the curator that the curator is very supportive. At the same time, Gautam Gambhir was in denial. He said,
Was he?
yeah, absolutely. He was in denial. He said, no, the run scoring was easy. Run scoring, not easy. The pitch didn't have too many, it was not devilish. Sort of, the thing is that you accept that your team is not good enough to play on such pitches. Unless it is a good pitch like it was in England, like it was the England series, home series against England, this team is not good enough. You have to accept that. Why are you in denial? Rishabh Pant. I have never seen Rishabh Pant so vulnerable as a batsman against spin. When I asked Gautam about this, he said, "Okay, he plays that way." It cannot be like that. You are talking about the Indian team. It's not that
Captain
he
today.
he's captain, irrespective of whether he is the captain or he is not the captain. You cannot play like that. He looked vulnerable. I'm Gautam Gambhir. What my interpretation? It is subject to interpretation. There could be different interpretation, but Gautam Gambhir at the press conference was in denial.
Okay, Ashok, let's once read out the quote. Okay, this is what he said: the wicket wasn't unplayable. The pitch demanded technique and temperament, and I think he also said we wanted exactly this pitch. The curator was very helpful. If you don't play well, this is what happens. What is your interpretation of Gautam Gambhir saying this?
So two aspects. I think he's not denying that they asked for this pitch, and therefore he's
Which
owning
is
up,
very important.
which is very important. Therefore, owning up, saying that this is exactly what we asked for. We had a game plan in mind. We couldn't. The interpretation is that we couldn't deliver to that game plan. That's the first one, in very very brief summary. But the second one is where I'd like to put a little bit more emphasis, where he's saying that technique and temperament is what matters. And I think those two words, there is a lot more behind that in terms of what he's succinctly kind of summing up in those two words, right? So I think there he's actually pinning it on the team, saying that they didn't demonstrate. We've been talking about application now
Yes.
for 3 days, and I think that temperament word is summing up that attitude with which they've gone about this. It is a wicket that they have prepared. Maybe they didn't anticipate that it will start, cracking up sooner rather than later. But then application, what Temba Bauma demonstrated, in scoring that half century, that kind of, an attitude where somebody rises up and takes up the responsibility, we didn't see that happening, and he's squarely putting it on to the team. The other part of it is the technique in terms of playing spin. We've spoken about that in the post-match show, where we've made earlier also. We made bowlers from the West Indies, bowlers from New Zealand, bowlers from South Africa now seem to be much larger in terms of their ability than what they actually are, and I think that needs a lot of soul searching. So, in summary, Gargi, I think I would say my interpretation is that he's taking ownership for the decision. He's saying that there was lack of application, really, is what we have said.
If you were wondering what me and Shomik were talking about right just now, we are actually in the Maidan opposite the Eden Gardens, and there are a couple of nets here, and we are looking at the pitch. And actually, Shomik, we had this conversation the second we stepped on this pitch, and we said that it's exactly like this out inside the Eden Gardens as well, because I'm sure the composition is more or less the same.
And that this is how
I will show you guys actually. I will show you guys the kind of cracks here. There is obviously grass because this isn't a maintained pitch, but this is what happens when clay gets dry. This is exactly the kind of pitch that you were seeing at the Eden Gardens, inside the Eden Gardens as well. So this is what we were talking about here. And When we talk about temperament, Shomik, when we talk about application, I also pin the loss on the lack of application in the batting department. That is completely crooked. Give me 1 second. Okay, yes. I pin it on the lack of application when it comes to the batting department. Yashasvi Jaiswal, that shot was not on. Dhruv Jurel, that shot was not on. Rishabh Pant, we have seen this over and over again, and yet that same issue persists with Rishabh Pant, where he cannot resist going for those, audacious shots.
And
Aksar
Akshar,
Patel,
yeah.
yeah, I was getting to Aksar Patel, 2 sixes. What was the need for a third one? So when we sum up this entire batting innings, one question that I asked Ashok, and I said that I wish I was in the press conference, because I would have asked about what the conversation is, that, or rather, what is the message or approach that you are asking Yashasvi Jaiswal to take.
No, just Yasal was always going to play that way. That's how he plays, in the sense that, I
What
mean,
about Rishabh?
Rishabh Pant, I'm not talking about Rishabh Pant's approach. He scored 2 of 13 balls, right? But it's not about 2 of 13 balls even. It's about, never did I see him this vulnerable against spin. Never. I mean, he was looking like getting out at every ball. He was that vulnerable. And it sort of, Simon Harmer eventually put him out of his misery. I don't know whether it is lack of game time at test level. Gautam, I asked this question. He said, Gautam, going ahead, he would be fine. He is playing test cricket after a long time. So that could be a reason. It could be nerve. Whatever you see, it could be nerve. But at the end of the day, what is the, I mean, what is the point of playing on such a pitch? You spoke about Dhruv Jurel's dismissal. I will not blame him. The ball was there to be hit. The ball stopped him and took the cue end of the bat and went there. So that was once again the pitch factor. What is the reason? Why would you like to play on such a pitch? You have Jasprit Bumrah, you have Mohammad
Mohammad
Siraj,
Siraj,
you have a world class spin attack. Why don't you play on good cricket pitches? This is
which
Gautam Gambhir said. It was the team management's call, which meant it was his call in conjunction with Shubman Gill. So it is Gautam Gambhir's fault.
and which brings us back to the start of the day. Why didn't you start with Jasprit Bumrah?
I asked him.
And
I asked him
did
the
you?
same question. I asked him. He said we are tactically absolutely spot on. I mean, it was our decision to. If we would have won the game, if we would have taken those 3 wickets quickly, then you would have said that it was a tactical masterclass.
All right.
But the exact same question I asked him. But now that there is no hindsight in cricket, there is no hindsight in test cricket. This is his word. There is no hindsight in test cricket. And he defended. He defended. That's why I'm saying he is in denial. He was in denial. He was in denial at that press conference.
And another question I want to ask you, Shomik, before I go to Ashok, when we talk about that pitch as well, and I said we had this discussion in the post-match live where someone made a comment that this is an overconfident management and team, to which I countered, this is not an overconfident team, this is a scarred team. This team has been scarred by the series against New Zealand. This team has been scarred by the fact that West Indies pushed them to day 5 after that follow-on mistake in Delhi. So, which leads them to not trust their bowlers, which leads them to play on wickets like this when they got it wrong.
This team is not a Gargi. This team is not a good test team. This team is a fantastic white ball team. Be it 50 over cricket, be it T20 cricket, and this team management is trying to bring that T20 or the shorter format template to test cricket. It doesn't happen like that. Test cricket is meant for the specialists. Test cricket is test cricket. It is meant for the specialists. It is not for bits and pieces cricketers. So from that point of view, if you are if you are forcing your shorter format template in the longer format, this test team is in England. They came back well. All said and done, even in the final test. Even in the final test, if Harry Brook wouldn't have played that shot, England, that was England's game to lose at 300 for 3 or 4. That was England's game to lose. And then Harry Brook shot happened. After that, India seized the moment, seized the opportunity brilliantly. Credit to them. But this team has to grow as a test side.
Which will
Gautam
require
keeps
time.
talking about inexperience, young players in the team. But then again, if I think the coach, the head coach, needs to get out of his denial mode.
All right, Ashok, there is another quote that I would like you to interpret. It's Gautam Gambhir saying that regarding the pitch again, that it wasn't playable. It wasn't unplayable. He's saying the majority of the wickets were taken by the seamers. 124 was chaseable. Again, again, would you sort of agree with Shomik where he says that Gautam Gambhir looks like he's in denial?
No, I think no. I would say that what he's saying is that is something that we referred to, which is that it is the fast bowlers who took the wickets, right? I mean, we saw we spoke about it in the earlier show where Bumrah took 5 wickets in the first innings. We saw Marco Jansen come in and take those 3 wickets. We saw Siraj come back and bowl well. We saw Bumrah again bowling well. So the fast bowlers have delivered. I think what he's really saying is that 123, 124, and something that I would not deny is with this kind of quality and depth of batting, it's something that we should have with application gone and done it. All it required was one partnership of 30, 40 runs, and I would still stick to that, saying that I think it is in the mind, we gave it up too quickly. If you look at some of the shots that, some of the batsmen like Akshar Patel hit out, I mean, I think what Rishabh Pant scored, I think even Yashasvi Jaiswal, I think we could have done without that. And I think we made heavy weather out of this total, which is a modest total. And I think it needs introspection as to how to go about this in terms of, I mean, there is a lot to talk about in terms of what is the difference that Shubman Gill could have brought as a difference in the first innings, the second innings, and therefore that could well have been the difference of the match. No doubt about that. There are aspects to be talked about. But I think in summary, I think he's really saying that the pitch is what they asked for. He's talking about technique. He's talking about application, temperament, and he's really talking about the fact that the total was not unsurmountable.
Shomik, yes, you can pass that on. Shomik, now we discussed about this in the post-match live. Obviously, you weren't there, you were in the press conference, but a lot of people still going after this management for the team selection, 4 all-rounders. A lot of people saying that you have made a mockery out of Test cricket with going with bits and pieces players and not picking Sai Sudarshan. Do you think it would have changed anything, or do you think it's hindsight?
It's hindsight, and once again, hindsight. As I agree with Gautam to that extent that in Test cricket you don't have a hindsight. But the fact of
What does he mean by that?
he said, I mean, I don't know. He said in Test cricket you don't have hindsight. I mean, you take the decision, and he backed his decision. That's why he said that, and he stuck to his
Okay.
to his decision. But
That you can't
but the fact is that now, how many tests how many tests this Indian team have lost? How many tests?
on Indian
I
soil.
mean, on Indian soil, on Indian soil, last 3 to 5 and 6 tests, and they have lost 4. Okay, even if they go and win the second test in Guwahati, that would be officially the score line would be 1-1, but it would be moral victory for South Africa, and it would be effectively a series loss for India in terms of that. I mean, you are suffering a clean sweep against New Zealand at home. You are losing test. You are getting bundled out for 93. You are getting bundled out. Yes, Shubman Gill couldn't bat, but still you are getting bundled out for 93 on home patch against South Africa. I mean, you are not a good test team. Simple as that. You are not a good test team at all.
And how do you see the way forward, Ashok? From here on, we still have one more test match to go. Guwahati is a place or a surface where you have never played test cricket before. Do you think the Indian management go for a similar wicket, a similar team?
Oh no, I think it's high time they learn from this. I think earlier we spoke about the fact that they need to believe in their bowlers, need to believe in the team that they have, and really back them up. And by that, what I mean is that don't repeat a New Zealand. Say that we've got what it takes to beat a team like South Africa, and then go all out and back them up, rather than saying that we want a pitch that is going to favor the spinners and therefore, kind of exhibit your vulnerability, exhibit the fact that you are underconfident. Don't give in to that, because it will have an impact on the psyche of the players themselves. They will not really be able to deliver. And I would suspect that had a lot to do with that second innings performance that India put in terms of batting. That's number one. Number two, I think whatever is the strategy that the management adopts, I think there is a case to sit down with specific players and talk them through what is expected of them. I think Yashasvi Jaiswal, Rishabh Pant, he's the vice captain of the team, but I think there is a need to sit down and talk, because I think I think that talking to them in terms of breaking down whatever is the vision that the management has, and saying this is the role expected of them, and what actually happened on ground, I think needs to be delineated. I think these are the two things that I would put down as specific agendas.
Gargi, I have a question in the sense that maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but the fact is that before Gautam Gambhir, we lost sort of 2 or 3 test matches in 10 years at home, right? Under Gautam Gambhir, as far as the test team is concerned, and I repeat this, India have been brilliant in white ball cricket across both formats. Um, Under Gautam Gambhir, over the last 12 odd months, we have lost 4 home tests, right? So we talk about split captaincy um, in cricket, and we have split captaincy in the sense Surya
T20.
is the T20 captain, and a few days back, until a few days back, Rohit was the. So
Oh,
do
yeah.
we do we also need a split coaching someone else for Test cricket and Gautam Gambhir for the white ball format? This is my question, a very humble question, because I mean Gautam Gambhir, I mean not he as far as Test cricket is concerned. See, Gautam Gambhir has come into Indian coaching without any formal coaching background.
Correct.
Right. He has never coached a first class side, a red ball. He never had any red ball coaching experience. If you go to Rahul Dravid, he he rose through the ranks
Correct.
despite he being
Yes.
Rahul Dravid. He was Rahul Dravid, but yet he coached the India under 19 team. He coached the India
India
A
A.
team before taking charge of the
Yes.
senior team. And the thing is that Gautam Gambhir doesn't have that background. He never coached in red ball cricket. And the nuances and the demands and everything, red ball cricket is completely different. Is he up to the mark as a red ball coach? I think that is a very valid question to ask.
Absolutely. I think that's a very valid point. I'm not sure how the logistics of it will come through, because we know that Indian cricket, power structures, focal point, all of that, how it all works. So I don't know how the logistics of that will work out, but it's a very, very valid question to ask. Ashok, your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. I think what I said earlier is really about the prep ahead of the Guwahati test. I think on this series, that is what needs to be done right now in the short term. But in the medium term, I think this is something that can be thought through. It is. I mean, you're absolutely right, Gargi. The logistics and the viability of that is something that needs. I think it'll be unprecedented. So
Has
it
it
will need
happened
that
before
thinking
ever?
before.
Has it happened?
I
I don't think so. I don't see captaincy even rarely did it happen in Indian cricket
Correct.
before. So split coaching hasn't happened, but you move on with time. You change with time. You never had split captaincy before. Now you have split captaincy. So there is no harm in having split coaching. Maybe if Gautam Gambhir's methods are not suitable for Test cricket, maybe it is like that. Um, I don't know. I don't know, because losing 4 test matches over a period of 12 odd months is disastrous. And I mean, even if India go and win their Guwahati test and square the series, it would feel like a series loss. You have won a home test series against South Africa is effectively a series loss.
I would venture and ask this. There are two parts to this. Shramik, what you're saying is the structure part of it, which is that you're addressing the structure and saying that the methods and technique is being employed is under question, and that needs to be addressed either with the solution that you are proposing, or maybe some other kind of a solution. The other part of structure is the process, and I think that's the debate that we've been having so far, which is that did the management in their process go wrong in terms of maybe underestimating what the pitch would look like, asking for the pitch and saying that we will select a team to deliver to this, selecting the 4 spinners, expecting that South Africa will, with their batting depth, will go on and it'll be a long, hard grind in the test match. You know, is and the fact that perhaps they didn't invest enough faith behind their bowlers. We saw that in the first innings, first session today. Are those the questions which I would put under the bucket called process? So there is a process bucket and there is a structure bucket, and I think you've got to exhaust everything in your process bucket before you go to the structure bucket. That is how I would think about this in the medium term.
Yeah, please, Gargi, you continue.
No, I was just asking you a question. So, but before I ask you, do you want to?
Yeah, just one thing.
Yeah.
Ashok, one thing before going into the pitch debate and the how they the kind of pitch they want to play, I think as far as test match is concerned, their thought process, their template is wrong. This is my personal opinion. Test cricket is meant for the specialists. It's not for bits and pieces. It's not for
But you were
so-called.
also in defense of the team selections.
No, I for this test, but
Huh.
for this test, I defended team selection to the extent that Washington Sundar is at number 3, but this has become the team's strength set. That multi-skilled cricketers, when you are playing batsmen up to number 8, you are sort of un- maybe inadvertently you are undermining your batting lineup, and that can create a sense of uncertainty. There has been a saying in cricket: if your first 6 batsmen are not good enough, they are not scoring runs. Number 7 will not score. That is a common saying in cricket. But I think Gautam Gambhir or the team management needs to look into the fact Test cricket is meant for test
Specialists.
specialist. Akshar Patel, I don't know. I mean, from day one, I was telling you, it's either Kuldeep Yadav or this guy. Akashdeep. Akashdeep. Akshar Patel as a taste all rounder. He
In
is
the
ju-
presence of Ravindra Jadeja.
he is
makes no sense.
Jadeja's backup. Why
Exactly.
play Akshar Patel in Akshar Patel's place? You can, if you want to strengthen your batting lineup, you can play Sai Sudarshan at the Padikal, right?
Yes.
So they are a specialist. So it's a game for the specialist.
Hmm.
So Test cricket is not like that. You cannot bring T20's template into Test cricket. If you do that, maybe
This is what happens.
no, maybe occasionally you will win, but more often than not, you will lose.
Okay, we'll close out this show. The conversation will obviously continue at 7 p.m. We have Boria coming in and talking about the 5 highlights, or rather 5 takeaways from this game. There's a lot to talk about still. We will obviously continue talking about it. And Ashok, final thoughts before I close the show. How are you seeing the way forward from here?
I think Shomik said it right. I think 4 losses, in a span of what about 12 to 15 months.
Yes.
That is thought that calls for serious consideration, serious thinking. In terms of, I would go back with my theory, which is that structure and the process one. Maybe I would still maintain that maybe too early to kind of change the structure, but maybe exhaust everything on the process bucket before you do that. So I would perhaps play out the Guwahati test and then go back to the design board and think about it. But I think there is a merit in what he's saying in terms of don't mix up the stratagems that you have for one format. It doesn't apply to the other one. As Shamik was saying though, I must quickly add that I was trying to think about South Africa, and does that hold true for South Africa in terms of specialists to do the job? I think there is a case, but I think this will need deeper dive.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll do another special show
And
on this.
also,
And
Gargi, just one more thing, that even with so many, both sides were replete with all-rounders. South Africa also. Keshav Maharaj came to at number 11. Before that, Corbin Bosch at number 9. But who was the best batsman inside? Temba Babhuma,
of
a
course.
specialist. In India's first innings,
Yeah.
KL Rahul. He is a specialist. Who was the best bowler inside from India's point of view?
Jasprit
Bumrah. He is a specialist. He is not a multi-skilled cricketer. Simple as that.
And my 2 cents on this, look back on the England series. Who did the job for you? The specialists did the job for you on sporting wickets. You gave England a tooth and nail fight. You drew the series 2-2, and I think that is more than enough proof that you need to have, that you don't need a rank turner, you don't need underprepared wickets. You need to trust in your specialists, is what you need to do from here on. This was an experiment, a welcome experiment. We all defended it, but at the same time, we know that when we talk about long term, this team is not it. This is not the combination. You need to trust your specialists more. On that note, we'll take your leave. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining throughout the build up to this test match, and then, of course, the downhill to this test match. But thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll be back very soon.